and I'm extremely honored, first and foremost. I would like to begin with a quote, one of my favorite quotes from former President Barack Obama. And he said, "Fight for a seat at the table, better yet, fight for a seat at the head of the table." And that is how I anticipate to bridge the gap and to achieve parity. Similar to our Vice President, and how she has shown where you can get being an HBCU student and changing that narrative. And that's what I anticipate to do. I hope bridging the wealth gap through supporting Black and brown startup founders. I believe that through reinvesting in venture capital, we can do just that. And so I created a startup accelerator right here actually in DC called Venture for Them. And them is an acronym meaning tech high performers and entrepreneurial minorities. We literally just launched in January, but since then we've supported 5 Black and brown entrepreneurs. We've onboarded them into our inaugural cohort. We've provided funding for them. We've connected them to C-suite level mentorship. And we also host monthly educational workshops. And we do this because, as we know, growing up in the Black barber shop, growing up in the Black hair salon, those were our first incubators, but a lot of ideas go there and die there because we don't know exactly where to take them to the next level. And so we have these monthly Founder Friday workshops as well. And just being in existence for 6 months, we've had amazing opportunities. We received a $10,000 grant from Moet Hennessy and Thurgood Marshall College Fund. Also, through the amazing Base 11 initiative, we've been able to present in front of J.P. Morgan, the Boulay, the Executive Leadership Council. I even had the honor of presenting in front of legendary producer Pharrell Williams when he was here at Something in the Water Festival, and his team was excited, so hoping to have them on board. And so just to say that we're making a lot of traction, and it's all for our community, and it's all for these Black and brown startup founders. And just to brag a bit about my inaugural cohort because they're so phenomenal, Jillian, one of our first entries, she has a ride-sharing company called Her Ride. It's based in Atlanta, Georgia, for women by women. Uber and Lyft are shaking in their boots. She's doing an amazing job. Next we have Ian. Ian's startup is called Waystlay. It's essentially, if you've used Uber Eats before, it's the Uber Eats but for beauty and hair care products. Nothing like that exists. He's doing a phenomenal job. Next we have Malcolm, who has a startup called Gab Global. It's a VR immersive language learning experience. So instead of just studying by the book, you're immersed in these real world scenarios that help students with language barriers. Next, we also have Dr. Karen. She has a startup called Child Nexus. And Child Nexus helps to connect children and parents to emotional wellness professionals, mental wellness professionals, even just neuropsychologists and individuals of that nature. We know that that is especially critical today. And then lastly, we have Brittany and her startup Index. And Index is the Spotify for stocks. So if you've used Spotify before, as simple as you can copy a friend's playlist or share a playlist, you can copy their portfolio, their investment portfolio. You can brand it to make investing a bit more fun, interactive, and easier. So that's our inaugural cohort. They're doing an amazing job, and our goal is to take them to the next level. And we've done this. I've done this being a full-time student at Morgan State University. I had to represent Morgan State. Being a full-time MBA student, working full-time as a team lead at Accenture right here in DC, and then just off of a $10,000 grant. So I'm very confident that if we can add a 0 to that, we can add another 0, and we can go insane and just truly for the impact of our community, and likewise for the mission of Base 11 to bridge that wealth gap. And so, as I had opened with the quote, that's my mission of getting that seat at the head of the table so that we can bridge that wealth gap. Statistically, for those who may not know, out of about $150 billion of venture capital deal flow, only about 4% went to Black and brown entrepreneurs. Out of the entire venture capital industry, there's only about 4% that are Black and brown investors. Not only do we need more Black and brown entrepreneurs, but we need more Black and brown investors. And so that's what we're doing. We're hosting events here in DC to help get investors and get entrepreneurs all under the same roof, have a good time, but close those business deals so that we can refunnel that $100 billion, that $1 trillion amount of dollars of Black buying power back into our community. And so that's our goal, and I'm honored to be here before you guys. My name is T.H.E.M. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
T.H.E.M, can you share just quickly before we open it up for questions,
Yes.
what inspired you to be a part of the Parity Project Innovation Challenge?
Definitely.
And how it's impacted your life?
Definitely, in a variety of ways. For one, the mission just resonated with me. My entire life I've been thinking, how can I help play my role in bridging the wealth gap? My family comes from DC, kind of pushed out of DC due to the gentrification, and so within the entire ecosystem that I grew up in, I've just seen the disparities, on where we lack and the disadvantages. My mother always said you have to be 2 times, work twice as hard, and so that's my goal, to help bridge the gap for others. And so that was one of my inspirations, just resonating with the mission of the challenge, but also just being through that challenge. It's been, it's exceeded my expectations. We just came from New York to present in front of JP Morgan. We presented for the Boule and the ELC, and now, of course, being here before you guys. So it's given me a greater confidence to persevere in what I'm working on, and also to just never stop, never stop and never settle. Keep persevering for our community. And so ultimately, that's my inspiration through all of this.
Thank you.
What inspires you, Kenneth? What was that moment that things turned for you and said, I want to make a difference? What was it?
Definitely. I would say going through, matriculating through Morgan State University, and just seeing so many of my peers around me with amazing ideas. They could be billion-dollar ideas, but nobody was paying them any attention because they weren't from an Ivy League university. They weren't in Silicon Valley. We have such an untapped ecosystem in our own backyard that can change the entire wealth gap, but it's just overlooked. It's an untapped ecosystem, and so that was my inspiration. Seeing friends with amazing ideas. I had a friend who actually dropped out of Morgan. I just knew he was going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg.